Welcome to another episode of Decision Pints. Today's special guest, Chris Shattuck with Implied by Design, Build a Module, and a number of other ventures. We've got locally brewed kombucha today, and next episode I will actually have the name of who makes it. We picked it up at Blue Sky Bagels. Thanks for joining. Looking forward to talking.
Thank you. I've been excited to drink this the past 10 minutes we've been sitting here.
Yeah, tangerine ginger. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So this is a show about making things happen and the people who do it. And there's so much to talk about. We'll pack it into a small segment here. But I'll start with a small story of being new to Boise, loving open source and kind of entering into the Drupal community, which is one of the best in the world. And we saw there was a meetup. And so a gentleman that helped start Nerdy Dragon and I, Tyler, said, hey, let's go to a meetup. He asked a few questions, and you're the guy on the IRC chat responding. And we get to Fuddruckers, and we start talking about Drupal, and by the end of it, we just felt like your best friend. You're so welcoming and a great steward of the Drupal community. But that's just one small part, because come to learn, as we would do SEO on our site looking for Drupal work, there is Implied by Design. And we didn't know that was your company building all these great sites. Then, as we're learning more about Drupal, there is buildamodule.com, but it's not just learning about Drupal, it's all these fancy features of being able to search for what you want through text and having it go right into the spot on the video. And then it's not just that. We see invitations to all these social events that bring families together with their kids to play or going to watch good, bad movie nights. And so the list goes on and on. You've got an impressive tie towards the community. And how did you get moving, and why are you so good at connecting with people?
Well, I think it's being an only child. So when you grow up alone, you got to figure out how to entertain yourself. And at some point, also, I figured out that I was socially inept. And that one of the ways to sort of combat that was trying to connect with people, like having conversations with random folks and just trying to, trying to connect. So I don't know if it was being an only child, but it's also something I like, right? Like I like people and I like connecting with folks. So, being part of a tech community, which, finding Drupal, like you said, it is a great community. I've even heard that from other people in other communities. But, it's a great way to connect with a lot of diverse people. So in the different things that I've done, I try to incorporate elements that will allow me to continue to meet people and get exposed to the variety of ways of being that are out there.
Awesome. Well, you're great at it. I think maybe Build a Module could have a companion, Build a Dialogue, Build a Friendship. And you can put some great content together there.
I bet you could do that too.
Oh, thanks. So this actually leads to another fun story. Had a friend I went to college with. He moves to Malta. All of a sudden on Skype, which was new back in the day, I get this notice that, hey, I ran into somebody who knows you in Germany, I think it was, or somewhere.
Probably Sweden. Maybe
Sweden.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what a small world this is. So obviously, you're incredibly well connected. We wanted to go to DrupalCon, and then we started doing some research, and there you are sponsoring it year after year after year. Really built up quite an immense, base of friends and fans and followers in the Drupal community. So let's hear a little bit more about how you got started into Drupal specifically with your agency, and then moving into how you discovered Build a Module, which is really a model of what people want to do, build residual income from a subscription base, delivering value, and be able to pursue all these other passions you have.
Sure. So I guess getting involved in Drupal initially had to do with me, it's a common path. People come to Drupal after having built something like Drupal and then discovering how hard it is to maintain it. And some people get to the point where they build an open source project and they try to get people involved. And that's kind of the point where I was at. I was ready to try that. And then I learned about open source deeper, and I learned that there were all these different content management systems out there that were already way ahead of where I was. And so I decided on Drupal just on a recommendation from a friend, and I standardized all my projects on it and moved away from the thing that I had made. And so that opened up some different opportunities. So one, it allowed me to standardize on something that other people were continually like bug fixing and updating, which is super cool. It allowed me to contribute back to it. So I was able to build modules and have other people benefit from them. And that was really, I mean, that feels really good, like being able to participate two ways like that with something. Normally we're just consuming, right? And then over time, like I started getting projects that were specific for Drupal, and the specificity meant that there were higher budgets. Like people knew the landscape of what was available, and they decided on this thing, and there were limited people doing it. And there's been like a deficit of Drupal developers ever since I became part of the community. So you can get paid more doing Drupal work rather than just doing generic work. So that was encouraging. It helped me like just continue to stay embedded and have a good reason to be embedded in Drupal. And then the transition to build a module had to do with wanting to switch to a product-based model from consulting, because consulting is fantastic, but it limits your ability to go deep into something usually, unless you have like one big client. So I wanted to be able to go deep, and I also wanted to increase my revenue potential. And with a product, you have that. You have like a potentially more scalable method of getting income. So I started putting together some video tutorials, packaged them up in a way that had a paywall, and people started buying them, which meant there was a market for it. And then I was able to continue doing that pretty quick. Like I met a point where my revenue met my expenses, and then I was able to just concentrate on that full time. And it's been a lot of fun, like going deep into it. Like you said, I've had a chance to build like little components and tools to help optimize the process of learning through video. And it's been nice having that freedom to be able to focus on that.
Yeah, they're great videos, great education, and it's the rich dad, poor dad, the common build that subscription base following exactly what you've done. So I think we all want to mimic the Chris Shattuck here, not only in being good stewards of a community, being friendly to others, but also in structuring a business and taking your passion into something that sustains your life economically. It's great stuff, and it reminds me that we had actually been working in Drupal, and all of a sudden this Navigator module was like, oh, this is the best left nav module that's out there. And then come to find out, you started that and wrote it and maintained it, huh?
Yeah, until it got removed from the database of modules due to security flaws. I hope you're not still using it.
I wasn't going to mention that part, but
I might still be using it, but I feel like I can take that risk. I don't want you to be responsible for you getting hacked.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So as I was refreshing here, I clicked, and that's just one of many modules that you've contributed to, which is fun to see, and also motivating to be a better part of the community and contribute back, whether it's documentation or writing code. But yeah, great stuff there, and that's a fun module. So let's talk about that point where you saw there's a market for this, because in my mind I'm picturing you're like at a home office, and you got your laptop, and you got your headset, and you got your microphone, and you're like just recording videos and hoping, oh, something good could come from this, and then you find out, wow, okay, this is much better than maybe I even thought. Or what was that process like from that starting out to realizing that I need to jump in and really make this my commitment?
Well, I think maybe something that made my approach a little different than maybe the majority is that I didn't start with free content. So I produced videos with the full intent of selling it or selling access to it. So that meant that from the beginning, like I designed the videos to be part of packages and to be part of a website that would be accessed in through a subscription. Well, at first it was just like buy this video series and you have access to it forever, or buy for $50 you get like the whole thing for forever, right? So it transitioned eventually into a subscription model, but I didn't know how to do that yet. It was a lot easier to have a payment system where you buy things once instead of have recurring.
Because what year is this?
This would have been like 2000. 2 or 3. Maybe?
Wow. Okay, going back that far. Yeah, you're like Drupal.
No, 18. No. Like I'm skipping a decade. Maybe 2012.
Okay.
I always go into the who is. Like when did I start this? And then I go, who is buildamodule.com? Oh, okay, it was around then, but I never quite remember. But maybe like 7 years ago. So I went into it like expecting it to be a product. And so when I put it out there, put the word out there, like, hey, I have this thing, the only way to get to it was through paying for it after watching a few initial free videos. And so I could tell quick, like whether people would pay for it because either they did or they didn't, rather than having to gauge on free content, like what people's interest would be. And so some people actually bought it and they didn't ask for their money back, which I was just waiting. Like every day I was just like, surely they've watched a video by now and they're done. They're like, oh, this guy is very stinky. Let's move on.
You weren't thinking, this is the best.
No,
They're going to love this. I'm gonna be...
No, and when I go back, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are the worst, right? Like you'll go back to like your early Decision Pint videos and you'll say, oh my gosh, I can't believe. But you have enough good parts of it that I think that it'll be successful. Like I think people will enjoy watching it. They'll enjoy watching you. You have enough good pieces, but over time you'll refine it and you'll get to the point where it's like, closer to flawless. But that takes time, it takes feedback and, whatever. So that transition was about seeing people buy it and thinking, okay, I've got 30 videos now that cover this, small chunk of subject matter. What would happen if I had a couple hundred that covered way more and had the engine of, word of mouth and stuff to start to build it? And so based on just the few purchases I had, I thought, and doing that back of the napkin calculation, it looked like, maybe I could sustain myself this way, Like it ended up doing a lot better than I thought it would. But I suspected from the beginning that I could do okay, at least.
Yeah, no, the quality's outstanding. They really are great videos and very... covering a lot of audiences. So there's a developer audience of, hey, in Drupal 8, here's the new stuff to learn in building a module. There's the themer and designer and site administrator, and it seems like you've just communicated exactly what each role needs to hear in the way that they need to hear to efficiently get ramped up on Drupal. It's such a massive amount of content. I'm just impressed with the encyclopedia that you've got inside of you, let alone what you've produced with the videos.
Oh, it's a lot less having an encyclopedia. It's more like, what did I just read? I'll make videos on that. Like I go back to my own videos to relearn stuff as I need to, how do I structure a theming hook, or how do I do this thing in Drupal 8? Because I don't remember. I go back to my videos, or they show up in search engines, and like I watch them as if I had never seen them before. They're not in here, and that's kind of the beauty of like writing stuff down, right? You have that for forever, and other people get to share that knowledge too.
Yeah, it validates a good product when the creator uses it himself. So moving forward and the chapters ahead, what's next for you?
Yeah. So I've been on a bit of a sabbatical. Like I kind of reached a point with Build a Module where it was, I don't know, I think you experience this when you dive into a startup, any business where you're kind of full on. At some point, you realize that there's a whole lot of your life that you haven't really been paying attention to, right? Every day, 8 hours or more, you're spent dedicated on this thing. And that allows you to funnel your energy and build something, hopefully great over time. But it means that the rest of your life, all of the things that you were designed for, a lot of them take a back seat. So I've been trying to spend some time trying to pay attention to what things might have gone by the wayside or haven't gotten attention. What things there are out there that maybe I could leverage the skills that I built through doing Build a Module and being a contractor with Implied by Design to focus on another subject matter that maybe is more relevant or necessary for the world, right? Like I don't know because I just haven't paid attention. I've been doing other things.
Being able to go on a sabbatical sure is great. And we look forward to seeing what your next steps are and staying in touch, and appreciate you coming on here, telling us a little bit about your story, and enjoying a little bit of the tangerine ginger kombucha.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, everybody.